There we go. Sorry, timer went off. But me and my girlfriend, we are trying to watch all the Star Wars in chronological order of the timeline, movie-wise. And me being that I like Legends, we're basically going to have to watch them a few times because my throat's going out on me again, sore throat. Raina has not seen the original trilogy at all. She's seen the prequels. But we're going to watch them in chronological order to help her with the story and everything like that. So me being a fan of Legends and how that some of the stuff in Legends really does help. Now, if someone can tell me, I like what is called headcanon, which is where you create your own continuity based on your own opinions and how you see things. So, being that I am still trying to get financially stable, once I am, I actually want to do extensive research to find out where everything took place and when, and to find out, okay, especially up to A New Hope, or not A New Hope, but yeah, like where the movies take place, because that's the core thing that ties everything else together. Kind of the whole gravity and orbit thing. The movies are the centerpiece. They are the sun of, the entire franchise. They all revolve around what happened there in the center and what happens after, or before, and stuff like that. But that is the centerpiece. So, we're watching the movies, and in Legends, there was a 2-part DVD called Star Wars Clone Wars, I think. Or was it Star Wars The Clone Wars? I don't remember. I think it was Star Wars The Clone Wars, which bridges the gap between Episode 2 and Episode 3. Now, granted, I don't think the clones actually change their armor, which they do. So I don't know why they don't. But ultimately, issue is that with the new canon, with Disney, there is no bridge. They basically they created a TV show for the sake of, again, making more money. And don't get me wrong, I like the TV show. I actually think that the fact that this TV show that has Ahsoka is supposed to revolve around Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Ahsoka, and, does revolve around basically the Clone Wars as a whole. But they know that it's supposed to still take place in between Episode 2 and 3, and Ahsoka was not in Episode 3, so she kind of had to leave. A lot of fans were upset when she left, but again, those fans were apparently oblivious to the fact she's not in Episode 3. So ultimately, Disney had a dilemma with making these cartoons, which, honestly, the fact that it's a galaxy, and again, laws that kind of affect that universe and ours as well, which is like laws of gravity, laws of time, and other sort of things like that. Cat, see, if any of you watched my video and heard how much I make fun of my cat for being fat, you are denting the box, kitty. See? You're fat. You are so fat. I love you. I really do, but you need to lose weight, fat kitty. I don't know, maybe I'm just being mean all the time. I really do love my cat, though. But anyway, so Disney, I will tell you this. You could technically, if you wouldn't have made Rogue One, which actually, from what I've heard, it really doesn't affect the show at all, other than it gives you more source material and gives you more things that you can to create your continuity gaps, which, Rebels takes place in between 3 and 4. And people have said that you can see the Ghost ship, the ship that is basically in the cartoon, as a cameo in the battle. Like it's like you blink and you miss it and you have to be looking for it. But anyways, Disney, you have two options. You can either... And I really don't care which one you take. I really don't. I enjoy Star Wars for the sake of enjoying Star Wars, honestly. But it just irritates me when people do stupid things that don't make sense. So, I was always worried before I found out that the continuity was changed. I was like, okay, I really want to get into stuff, and I don't know where to start because I want to learn about everything. And they're like, oh yeah, well, we stopped doing that, so that gives you time to catch up on everything. So great, that's awesome. But at the same time, you're making it up as you go. Why, like, what would make more sense to me is instead of changing how characters look, like, watch the Lost episodes, or Lost Missions, I think, which aired originally on Netflix, eventually came out on DVD, which to me might have been when Disney took over because of the fact that we only got 5 seasons of Clone Wars, and they were planning to continue the show after Ahsoka left to see like how Anakin dealt with it or what she was up to while the war was still going on. And that's, I'm guessing, when it happened, because they're like, okay, now we need something that can change the continuity for the fact we just want to change it. Because this is what doesn't make sense, okay? In Legends, the clones had strict teachings, which we see. They had a strict educational pattern which mentally programmed them. Told them, this is what you do. They were structured. They were military. You know, they didn't question anything. Or I'm sure the Kaminoans, sore throat, hard to speak. The people who cloned them would say, okay, you're not working the way we need you, so you can go do something else, or just we'll terminate you. In the new canon, they say that they have inhibitor chips in their brain, which is why they executed Order 66 without question, is because they actually had an bioorganic chip in their head that basically told them to. Which I think is kind of stupid. These are people, they may be clones, but you are creating your own continuity errors within your own continuity now, Disney, because with Clone Wars, that TV show, you know, they have that aired on Netflix. There's only, I think, like 6 or so episodes, or like only 3 story arcs, which really bothered me, for the record. But, oh yeah, I need to talk about Darth Bane. I've not read the books, I've not played Old Republic. That's something I plan on doing because it's like the biggest thing in Star Wars from what it seems, especially of Legends. So, but Darth Bane created the rule of 2. I know that much. And I know he is a defining character in Star Wars because of that. Because he reinvented what the Sith was. He had a very distinct look. I have seen Darth Bane's face God knows how many times, because he had a very distinct look with kind of like Crow, if anyone knows the movie, or like he had lines just going down. He kind of had, you know what I mean. He had, a very distinct markings, tattoos, or whatever they were. He had a very distinct look in his face, facial structure, and when he came back in Star Wars Clone Wars, he looked nothing like himself. He looked like, honestly, just like a jinn, what I've heard a jinn looks like. Now, to anyone who reads the Quran or is Muslim, I don't mean to offend you by bringing this up, being of my ignorance, but from my understanding, a jinn, it's described in your book of a creature made out of smokeless flame. Okay, saying that out loud, realize how stupid I am. I will edit this out. So, Darth Bane basically looks nothing like his original Legends counterpart. He doesn't have skin, doesn't have the markings. He doesn't he is depicted even in Legends with a very particular look of armor. And he just looks like something from the Middle Ages of our world, except kind of phantomy and ghost and smoke. So ultimately, that bothered me deeply. I don't know why, but it did. Maybe it's because I'm a stickler for continuity and, things that I'm passionate about, I'm passionate. So, but the problem is with the Clone Wars TV show is that we have been shown that the clones have this chip, right? Which means, unless it was like a trigger thing to where they had to actually hear it, they have shown clones getting amnesia. They have shown clones not remembering who they are, living a completely separate life. They've shown clones defecting on their own, choosing to leave the Republic Army. And, there was a clone that basically got married and had a farm. There was clones that did their own thing. So why can you say that you have this chip? Now maybe I'm, again, ignorant, and I don't understand the concept of the bioorganic chip. Maybe it's just, again, it's a trigger. Once they hear the words, Order 66 and, execute being basically the trigger word or the opening word, like what's going to snap them like a trance, like, you will do this, okay? Like magicians do. And then it's like, snap. And then they do it. Maybe that's their snap. Maybe that's their on switch, is execute. They hear execute and they just, they freeze up mentally, and then they have to hear the order and execute it because they were told to execute, do it. So execute Order 66, okay, doom, they did it. But why? And again, I don't understand the chip concept, but the Legends continuity, which I don't understand as well, for the reason why it's Legends. It was shown in the movie, which up until they started creating their own continuity, the movies and the cartoon was their continuity. That was what they said was canon, was basically just the cartoons because they hadn't come out with episode 7 yet. So, that being said, it was in the movie with their little headgear showing them learning at the planet Kamino. That was their training. That was why they were told to do these things without question everything. And then they just give them the chip and I don't know. I just don't know. So, ultimately, there's all these things that are touched on with The Force Awakens and all these things that fans have at this point touched on. And a lot of fans said that, oh, well, this is, the best Star Wars ever. And I've seen a few videos that basically state fans said the same thing when A Phantom Menace came out. And when the hype died down, then fans actually watched it again and they were like, this isn't funny, or this is stupid, or I don't like Jar Jar. Like, Phantom Menace is considered the worst movie in Star Wars, minus, Darth Maul, because everybody loves Darth Maul. But when it first came out, everybody loved every aspect of Phantom Menace. Same thing is happening with this movie, is basically and from my understanding, it's even happening with Rogue One. So basically Disney doesn't know what they're doing. They shouldn't have done this, and hell, if anything, they should actually call out to the original creator who has it his own archive, who knows how the universe operates and how it should be and how it shouldn't be. Believe it or not, George Lucas did have a vision for Episode 7, but eventually left the idea for I don't remember what reason. But originally, when he created A New Hope, he wanted to create 3 distinct trilogies. Which one reason why he might have abandoned it is probably because of the EU. Is he allowed people to publish comic books and publish other things that took place, unless there's some sort of stipulation with the timeline to say like, oh, well, leave a gap in the timeline so that I can still make the movies that lead into this stuff. I mean, they did that with other stuff too, I'm pretty sure. I would say it's safe to assume, like Old Republic came out, and all this other stuff. It might have come out before, it might have come out after. I want to say it came out after Phantom Menace, but still. It's very easy to say, okay, you need to make sure that these events actually take place after a certain point, because he distinctively said that he wanted the movies trilogy to actually take place in a certain time increment.